Let there be light, and there was light, words of the said God, Mother Eve. So we are talking about the called God. Why have the gods changed their positions? Okay, so, or have they really changed their positions? That's another question, because what we have seen, for instance, that Mother Eve has called us to get acquainted or understand the position or the significance of the called God. When you hear about your calling, or I am performing or acting according to my calling, or we want to know what my calling is, these are questions we are often faced with. We see the word called, the God called, is in the sixth position here. And now Mother Eve has asked us to really see the God as in the first position. The position is really perhaps where we are. Perhaps we are the ones supposed to be in this movement, that we can be in a position to see this God, the called God, as the first. So have the gods really changed positions, or are we required to change positions? Or does it really matter who has changed positions, as long as we are as long as our attention is with the called God right now? The called God, of course, we see is one, and of course there we see another correlation, that 1 equals 7. That is, when we do the numerical value for the word form of 1, it equals 7. Now, what do we know about 7? That the world was created in 6 days, and the seventh day God rested. Of course, so the called God being in the sixth position would mean that all of creation was done on the sixth day. Now, of course, the 7 would be inclusive of the day of rest. So we can see that there is something to be said for the called God, that she really encapsulates all of creation. So this is why we learn, or we hear it, you call on, if you want something, you call it into being, meaning you are anchoring on the called God. The gods are in our everyday language, and that to me is so crucial. That means we need to be so aware of the words that we speak. This is it's as if we have been set up. We have been set up, and no wonder the book of Proverbs is permeated with the instructions that we need to seek wisdom. Wisdom, above all things, seek wisdom and understanding. And that is really important. If it were not for this sort of wit that has been in the scriptures that we have been taught, there would not be such emphasis on seeking wisdom. And there we continue to learn about wisdom cries out in the streets. It means that wisdom is not necessarily to be found in the Bible. It means that we need to pay attention to all of everyday life scenarios to understand the meaning of wisdom. Wisdom, she is in the streets, she's in the marketplaces, she's bantering prices, she's shouting, she's crying out. And these are the things that we need to understand. Crying out, this is the call to God. She is speaking, this is the called God. There is flow, she is current, she is present. And of course, as we know, present coincides with the serpent that was in the Garden of Eden. It was present. That is the presence that we have. The word presence actually equals 40. I know I'm not going through all this right now, because I've done so many of these, or covered particularly in my earlier videos with presence, which was more as in a poem form that I was talking about. But presence is really 40. So we can see right here that adding all these figures of the gods, meaning their numerical values. For instance, we have the created God, which is 2, and the soul God, which is 7. When we add their vibrations here in the word form, it's very ironic that we have the same numerical sum on each column right here. So if we see these numbers here, they vary and they are not the same. 2 and 4, as we know it, is not the same. But of course, that's as we have learned it. Now we are learning a new way of looking at the numbers. And that is why it is often said as well that a rich man, a man who has made lots of money, he is not too bothered about losing the money because he has learned the formula of how to make it. He is not using much of his energy on this, the mass or the house that represents a lot of money. He has the wisdom. He has learned the wisdom. He has learned the formula. Now looking at this here, we see that there is a formula here. We see that there is a sum right here, for instance. So we have 2 which equals 4. We can see 5 equals 6 and 7 equals 6 equals 7 and 7 equals 2. We see the numbers that are here are really the same numbers here. Let's write this over. 2. Okay. So they're the same numbers. Now that tells me that there was a reaction in creation, because this is where Mother Eve came into. This is 3, the 3rd verse of the Bible. There was a reaction with 3. 3, the 3rd verse tells us that the word 3, which is there when Mother Eve says, "Let there be light," the word there is actually an order of letters which equals 11. And of course 11 is the word is the same value as the word created, which is here. Created is 2. 11, 1 plus 1 is 2. So we can see that there was a reaction. There was another reaction here. So the numbers are not in the same order, but they are, however, reflective of each other. And we are looking at 4 sets of numbers, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, meaning 3 is in the middle, just as we have divided here is in the middle. So divided has the numerical value of 3 as well, as in the word blessed has the numerical value 3. So here we can see the word divided, the 5th entry, because Mother Eve this is where the serpent had gone down to the ground to teach us how. So we could say there was a division of its makeup here. The serpent on the tree, and then it's on the ground. So 3, of course, is also the number of freedom. So what happens when one expresses freedom? They are free to roam. This is what happens. It may be perceived that they are divided from another person or situation, but that is to express their makeup and individuality or nature or personality. And that is what gives us a sense of whether we are going this way or that way. We are able to have a sense of identity. So now this is where we can see that there was another form. As I say, the called God is 1, and the called God here equals 7. So their creation was happening right here, or creation is happening right here. We have a 7-year cycle that from the 15th of May 2018, which also had a numerical value, which I need to remember. I haven't quite logged it, although it's my birthday, it fell on my birthday, 15th of the 5th, 2018, which is a 2-year, so we can add this. This is 7 plus 6 is 13. So 13 is the number that we say is of God. 1 plus 3 is 4. So basically we could see that this is really coinciding. Here is the 13. It's coinciding with the 40 here, which is 40 coinciding with 40 years of the children of Israel going through the land into Canaan. And here we have 40 with Christ. I'm just naming these very symbolic errors. So Christ with 40 days of fasting and praying and fasting. So we can see that big changes happen with the number 40. And if you're new to this as well, I've also recorded a video on only activate your Kundalini if you want to meet with Mother Eve, because I did a 40 day of ritual, and this is how I had my Kundalini activated. So the number 40 is pinnacle right here, and this is where Mother Eve is also calling us to establish this 40. And this is also another reason why we have the absence of 4 here. So among the gods here, we can see we have number 1, 2, 3. We haven't got 4. We have 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we are talking about numbers 1 to 9. And these are the gods in Genesis of chapter 1, and the 9 gods in Genesis of chapter 1. Here we have the 5 gods of Genesis of chapter 2, which marry, and we have worked a way of seeing how they form the nine gods, if you like, because they have formed partnership. They have formed positions where they are in alignment with these figures 1 to 9. So basically we can see that this 40 that we are getting here, or this 4 right here, is the 4 that we are meant to be paying attention to. We are attention to, because as it comes as well in the number 13. Number 13 is the number of incubation. So the word incubator, for instance, as well, just to really see how I really want to show that when we follow our intuition and Mother Eve's guidance, we really have nothing to fear in this sense, because Mother Eve is really showing us how precise she is in this sense. So the word incubator is 96212335 So let's add this together. This is 9, this is 18, this is 20, 26, 31, 40. So we can see we have 4 here as well. So incubator, which is 13, and I have added it in different ways where I got 13 directly, but this is 4. So we can see the 40 really means the incubator. I think that is how we need to term it. So as Christ, for instance, fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was in an incubator, really maturing to that which he was meant to deliver of himself, deliver of his soul, deliver of whatever mission it was that he had meant to accomplish. And so we can see the true meaning of number 40 right here. Now that is where in fact we were at. We are, according to Mother Eve, we are at this point here in a developmental stage, the DVM of the sacrifice template. So of this sacrifice template, we are really get into our north, our south, our east, and our west. Of course, the sacrifice template really shows us with the R, which equals 9, that there is a birthing that will be taking place. And of course, going through the journey, there is an end. The E equals 5, and it's also end. I am not sure whether we are going through this way now or going back to this end, but I believe if we are talking about the 5th and 8th dimension, our cycle perhaps is from this rift to the ice, brackets, blocks, right here, the developmental stage to the inland revenue. If this sounds like a strange language to you, I would urge that you watch my video on Introduction to Crime a Queen, which will give you more about how this has been devised. Okay, so there is so much on the called God. Back to the called God here, we see that the called God equals 10. There is something very wonderful about this as well. When we add these figures together, because we have, as you can see, I have circled the 3 here. 3, of course, is the first, it corresponds with the first letter Mother Eve uttered when she said let. So the word let has 3 letters, and of course we can see there is a correlation here. Let there, the second word was there, which equals 11. So let there be light, and the word light is also 11. So the word 11 here, the word light, the number 11 and the word light and the word 3 all corresponds to the first entry of the gods, which is created. So there we see that there was a strong correlation happening here. However, in this position, it's like Mother Eve is now showing us the correlation with this position here, with the called God being in this position. If we do, or when we do the numerical value for the word 7, it gives us 20. So there is still a reflection and a relationship happening right here with Mother Eve, as in the 3rd entry of the Bible, and of course with the created God and the called God. There is a relationship happening here. There is also a relationship telling us that we are of the 2 sets of 7 gods. So of course there is one and there is another one. So basically there are 2 sets of creation which had this 7th day of rest. Okay, now when we add these together here, we add 6 plus 4 plus 6 is 10. Then we have 7, 17 plus 2 is 19. So basically we have 19 here. This is 19, 1 to 9, which corresponds with all sacrifice template. And we also have, because they are the same numbers here, so we would have 19 here also. Now 1 plus 9, of course, is 10. 10 and 10 is 20. Now 20 is really 2. Now again, this is telling us that we have 2 sets of creation, and we have the power of number 2. So we could have a look on our template, because our template is showing us the power of 2. The power of 2 here we have seen is got a B. I have spoken on this. This is the bucket, this is the basket, this is the bread, this is the breath. I hadn't said this bit before. The breath, this is the breast, this is the buttocks, this is the bonding, this is the beehive. So basically the letter B, for instance, tells us everything, because it is really 13. The letter B is the incubator right here. It's like a beehive. And when we come into fellowship or partnership on number 2, which is what number 2 represents, then we form a bond. We become equal with whatever situation or person we are forming the bond with. Our equal sign really is that 2 dashes, which forms the bond. And this is how we have the letter B. I had worked on the letter K and T, but I'm believing the B is really giving us so much succinct definition. So let's just go with this. So that's the bond right here. And of course, the number 2, as we have seen here, when we do the numerical value for the word 2, TWO, it also gives us, this is 6, this is 11, 12, 13. It also gives us this 13. So it's not that I'm just taking the letter B as looking at B to say, well, it falls under the 2 column, but it also shows us its true value right here. So 1 plus 3 is 4, but it gives us that bond. So 2 is where partnership is. Okay, or marriage or bonding and so on. So on the 2 column, we can see that the called God and, let's see, the called God was the created God, which was 2, is now has a relationship with the called God, which is 7. And I'll show you how this is. So the 7, the word 7, because we well, the word 1 equals 7, and 7 also have Mother Eve right in the middle of it, which is telling us how crucial it is that we pay attention to this. So when we add this together, 10, 14, 19, 20, this is how we have our 2 for the called God. So we can see that there is a relationship with the called God and the created God. They are just taking turns. Because basically nothing can really, we can't have a relationship with someone or a situation if there is nothing, if we have nothing in common with that person or situation. So we can see how the gods themselves come into harmony with each other. So the created God and the called God is showing a strong sense of harmony right there. We have also seen that with Mother Eve as the said God. So as the said God, Mother Eve, of course, have showed. So basically we are covering about 3 of the gods here in this sense. So the said God, which is the third, which has the 3rd position here, equals 6. And we see 6 actually, if we did the numerical value for the word 6, okay, phone fell down, so let's just see how we can get this going again. Okay. Bear with me. Okay, just to complete this one. Okay, so I was with the yes, so the word 6 is 6, 9, 1, 15, 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. Of course, as I have done the 7, we see that there is 2. So basically we see the relationship with the 6, with the said God, which equals 6, and the 7, and the called God, which equals 1, and the created God. In another video, I also showed a little much more on how the called God and Mother Eve had much more in common as well, because of the 10, the word 10, like when Mother Eve spoke and she said, let there be light, and there was light. Of course, the first word, the word let, equals 10. So there is another relationship here. So I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you have found it fun. Okay, please leave your comments, like and subscribe, and of course, and share. Oh yes, thank you. Let there be light, and there was light.